Hey guys, I wanted to take this opportunity to remind you all to like and subscribe. It really helps me to keep getting the best guests onto the podcast. So I really appreciate it if you did. And now onto the video. The other stock that you're very big on is Micron technology. And if I'm not wrong, David Tepper of Appaloosa is also along Micron. I know it's nice to have such a big investor sort of confirm your thesis. I know it's exciting because it's a big player in 5G. So what is it that makes MU or Micron superior to other semiconductor companies?
That's a great question. Micron is interesting in that it makes a commodity-like product. So it makes DRAM memory and NAND flash, and it has a new type of memory it's working on, which called 3D XPoint, which hasn't really been commercialized yet. Likely, what David Tepper is saying is the same thing as I'm seeing, is that as you get 5G, as you get artificial intelligence, as you get self-driving cars, the demand for memory, which is basically like the horsepower of all computing, is going to go up over time. And the need for storage is going to go up over time because it's the data revolution, it's digitization, the growing at an exponential growth rate. However, memory is very commodity-like. So the price at which Micron and its peers can sell at is sort of dependent on supply and demand. Why Micron is attractive is that it's one of only 3 companies in the world. There are some others, but 3 companies basically control over 90% of DRAM.
So what is DRAM? Could you explain that?
So dynamic random access memory, it's memory that works while the device is on.
So is there like a difference between like regular RAM and DRAM?
No, that's what it is pretty much.
Okay.
There's different types of it. There's RAM for laptops, RAM for phones, RAM for gaming, but it's all random access memory. So it's fast memory that shoots data fast to applications, but it doesn't hold data when the device is turned off. So for memory that holds data when the device is turned off, that's NAND flash and hard disk drives, which Micron doesn't make. So basically, data storage and data transmission.
Right.
So the faster you want data to move, the more RAM you need. So 5G phones coming out now, it's going to have as much as twice the amount of DRAM per unit that 4G phones had. So if you think about it, so even if phone units don't grow, you're still going to get a doubling of DRAM demand in mobile over time. Now, if there are hundreds of suppliers and they're all racing to grab as much market share, they're going to make too much DRAM even though demand is going up. But if there's only 3 players, they can control their supply so that they can sell DRAM profitably. And since it's a tough business and it's very capital intensive, there's high barriers to entry. Micron, and so typically you have cycles where they boom and they bust, and they boom and they bust.
And semiconductors are sort of notorious for their cycles.
Yes. But now, and so the cyclical nature of it has made investors wary of the stock. So the stock is traded, or up until a couple months ago, traded very cheaply. It was trading, I don't know, 1.5 times book value. Earnings kind of fluctuate year to year, but Micron earned maybe $2.50 last year, but it earned as much as $12 in 2018. And the stock was in the 30s and 40s until recently it just shot up into the 70s. The stock was also held down, I think, by the trade war with China. The trade war wreaked all sorts of havoc on people. Micron's customers pulled back on buying memory because they were cautious, and then Micron got cut off from selling to Huawei this summer. It was just a huge mess. So hopefully the incoming administration takes a more rational approach to dealing with China, and things will settle out. But even though the business is cyclical, goes up like that, it should make higher highs and higher lows over time. So we got in one of the lows, and the stock seems primed for an upswing next year. I mean, the stock has gone up about 50% in the last couple of months, so it's anticipating that. But it's still relatively cheap compared to some other high-flying chip stocks.
Could you tell us why Micron is sort of better than the other two competitors? So you said that there are 3 companies who make these DRAM chips. So could you name the other 2 companies? Yeah,
the others are Samsung and SK Hynix, and they're both Korean companies, which are harder to trade. So Micron's the only U.S. firm that trades. I wouldn't say Micron is necessarily better. Samsung is more of a diverse conglomerate. So, they've got their phones, they've got appliances, they've got a whole bunch of other stuff. So
it's hard to make like a direct bet on 5G with that.
Yeah, it's not a direct bet on memory. Also, Micron, again, this is similar to T-Mobile. It was sort of in 3rd place in terms of their cost structure. But their new CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra, took over in 2017, I think. And he's been really good. Micron's been catching up to Samsung and SK Hynix in terms of their technology. And actually, so they've been lowering the cost gap between what they can produce a bit for and what the others can produce a bit for over a few years. And it looks like they just actually surpassed them in NAND flash. NAND flash has like 5 or 6 players. But that's also consolidating because Intel just sold its NAND flash unit to SK Hynix. So you're going to go from 6 players to 5 players. So hopefully NAND flash has been more competitive and harder to make money, but hopefully that'll become more profitable. But Micron just unveiled a 176-layer NAND flash bit, which is best in the industry, just in October, I think. So they're really progressing with their technology, and
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But a lot of if you have only a few players in a certain industry, you don't necessarily need to be better than your competitors. But if you're as good, an oligopoly should be able to mint profits in theory. Right. Without too much competition. Like imagine if there was only 3 oil companies in the whole world.
You'd want to be along all 3.
Probably. The demand picture for memory is probably better than the long-term demand picture for oil.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the theory anyway. It's been hard to hold this stock for 2 years, but it finally is breaking out. It looks like. And that's pretty much the theory.